guess it stays solid. Hey everyone, how are you guys doing? This is John Crump, and we are here for another episode of Fireside Chats with the difference makers in the world. I am joined today by Dianna Muller of the DC Project and a few other projects. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Just hanging in there, living life. So,
Saturday night.
yeah, my exciting life. I'm sitting at home doing a podcast, but it is what it is.
With you.
Yeah, yeah. So, what's up with you? Anything exciting
What's
going
up with
on?
me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm at my in-laws and I mowed most of the day. I got to be a normal person. We're enjoying about a week off of the road, and my husband and I travel so much, but we haven't even got into that. So they probably don't even know who I am. Just know that I'm happy to be at home.
Happy to be at home, of course. I love being at home. It's one of my favorite places in the world, but that's just me. All right, you are. Well, let's get into that. Who are you? I know it's open ended for a question, but this is what we do
My
here.
name is yeah. My name is Dianna Muller. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm a retired police officer. I retired in 2014 after 22 years with the Tulsa Police Department. And yes, I know sticks. Everybody asks me, do they know sticks from live TV?
So you were on the same.
I really enjoyed my career as a.
You were on the same department as he is.
Oh yeah, yeah. I actually have known him before he was a police officer. He used to ride with a friend of mine that was in my squad. So we actually named him Stick.
How did he get that name?
I cannot disclose. It was like it was after Pursuit, and he may or may not should have been riding with us. And we told him to go stand over there and be like normal, but he stood over there like a stick.
So he was just a stick.
So we started calling him Stick.
I'm gonna have to hit up YPD.
And then everybody started calling him Sticks from the neighborhood, so that stuck.
I got
That
it.
was a long, long time ago. That was 20 years ago.
So after that,
Yeah, anyway, you want me to go?
yeah, keep on going.
So I left the police department to pursue the shooting sports. I was already when I came to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and got on my feet. The first thing I went to was barrel racing to horses. That's why I moved to Tulsa. It was horse country. My family were into horses, and all I did was barrel race. So as much as I shoot now competitively, I barrel raced was my hobby. And then in 2008, the United States Shooting Academy in Tulsa, Oklahoma, built a beautiful range, and I kind of forced myself to go back to a USPSA match, a pistol match, just to get behind my gun for work purposes and get some practice. And something strange happened then, 2008, 2009, is I fell in love with the people. I shot good, but the people are what really hooked me. So for the next couple of years, I really struggled with, having one foot in the horse industry and one foot in the firearms industry. And then I started getting sponsored. So people were not paying me to go barrel race, and I enjoyed the company and the people. The companies were sponsoring me, so it just kind of drove me in that direction. And that was in about 2011. I sold all my farm, I sold my horses, everything I had spent 20 years, trying to get back to, and I sold it all, moved to town, and started focusing on more of a part-time career, as a part-time job as a sponsored shooter and being in the firearms industry.
Now, speaking of sponsors, we are sponsored by the one, the only Black Swan Tactical. Some of the coolest t-shirts in the world. Black Swan Tactical. It might or might not be one of my other companies. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. What I wanted to talk to you about is something called the DC Project. Can you tell me about the DC Project? I found you
Mm-hmm.
through one of my friends, Cheryl Todd, who is a member of AZ Firearms.
Yeah.
So tell me about the DC Project.
So I was retired from the police department and going about my business, having a good time, being a sponsored shooter. My husband and I were in the country and just having a really good time. And we found ourselves in Washington, D.C. Well, we found ourselves on the East Coast, and Washington was something that we wanted to go do tourist things. And a friend of mine that lived there said, "Do you want to meet your congressman?" And I was like, I guess so. That's what you do when you're in D.C. And from that meeting with Congressman Steve Russell out of Oklahoma City, I just said, hey, is there something that we should be doing as professional shooters to help educate the people that are in this building that are making such big decisions that affect us? Jerry Mitchelluk and his daughter Lena were with us as well, and we were just sitting there, and that's kind of where the idea popped into my head. So I had no idea that you could do what we're doing in the DC project. I knew you could call your congressman or whatever. But from there, I just started kind of gathering women. At first, I thought it was going to be professional shooters because we're easy to vet. We can kind of be, we're out there publicly wise, and we can maybe be more trustworthy with firearms. But God had a bigger plan for it, and now I have a cross section of America of women that represent what the Second Amendment means to pretty much anybody and everybody in America.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. One of the things that I found interesting about the DC Project, and I was supposed to go, but I ended up in the hospital. Long story, but I was supposed to go to the DC Project. But how you guys have really taken the bull by its horns, and you guys are like, hey, look, we're women shooters, and we're here. Um, I know Cheryl Todd was a big part of that, and she actually invited me to go to the DC Project, and it's one of the things that if looking back, I really wish I could have attended. But are you guys going to do it again?
Oh yeah, this is our fourth year. So the women that have gone have always gone on their own dime in their own time. But 2019 marked the first year that I went ahead and did a 501c4. So we're an official nonprofit. I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. I didn't want to be another gun organization. So I look at us as kind of a supplemental to any of the gun rights associations, and we're kind of the action group. We go and we shake the hands, and we're seen and we're heard. And hopefully we will inspire others to do the same. You don't have to be anybody special, and you don't have to be part of a special group to do what we're doing.
Yeah, so I think it was 50 women this year.
There were actually 57 women representing 42 states, and we made 142 meetings over 2.5 days. We break up into small groups because we don't want to overwhelm offices when we get there. So we have groups of 4, 5, maybe 6 women, and they make all of their own meetings beforehand, and they deconflict with their team. And so when they get there, they have a schedule that they have created themselves, and they just go knock out the schedule. When we're done on Friday afternoon, Friday about noon, people start vacating Washington. So Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock, we have a rally, and that's what you would have really enjoyed because we were on the west lawn of the Capitol building. So it's the big patio, and you can actually see the Speaker of the House's office there, and you're between the Washington Memorial and the Capitol building, and it's amazing feeling being there. And we have a rally. It's not when the girls first told me that they wanted to have a rally, and I was like, I'm not really a rally person. I'm a conservative, and I like signs and yelling and stuff. But that's not what we do. We have speakers, and we do make some signs so other people that are walking by can kind of see what we are about, as opposed to trying to figure it out themselves. So we have a great rally, and I would love for everybody. It's on the Friday of our event. We can't plan our event until they put out the calendar, the 2020 congressional calendar, and they usually do that until December. So I can't announce when they're just usually it's the end of May, the 1st of June. Sometimes this year we were in July.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think it's a very important thing to do, and I would love to come support you next year since I'm in the DC area, unfortunately. But I do love Virginia, so
Yeah.
I am the director of the Virginia GOA, and GOA is right outside DC, so it's not that far.
Well, I hope let's stay in touch. Let's stay in touch, and then next year maybe you can get a big group to come out for the rally. I wish that we had, wish the NRA or somebody would put out, somebody that has the big mega tentacles would do a gun rights march on DC. I would go.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would go. I would definitely go. I probably would,
Yeah.
considering how
Well,
tough
the DC. Yeah, the DC project, we do offer that, but we're not set up to, we don't have a big stage. We are what we are at this point, and we would love to have 100 million people flood Washington, D.C., but we'll grow and see if we can't get the word out.
Yeah, that is something that I think is very, very important is to get the word out. How hard was it to organize something like that?
Well, it's grown organically, so I've been basically writing off chunks that I can chew, and it could be a lot more than it is, but I do have to keep it kind of manageable for me now. I mentioned that this is the first year that we're 501c4, so I'm really going to focus on fundraising for the next year and see what we can do, because I really need some. I've got big ideas about what we can do. When we go to Washington, D.C., we are very well organized and very well funded messaging when it comes to the antis. They're always there. So I want to take some of the plays out of their book and do the same thing. It just costs money. Sometimes, like, let's say we get off the subway and there's a whole slew of anti people in the same shirt, and they're handing out food and milk, breakfast type items. So there's something easy peasy that we can do if we just had the budget to do it. I need somebody to do this full time, to kind of focus on what we want to do. And what we're talking about doing is dropping down into the state level. So each girl that comes to Washington, D.C. from the 50 states, I'm going to ask them to go back to their states and do a similar project at the state level, because we're doing with Trump in office and what we've been doing over the past 4 years. I really feel like we're kind of making a presence there, but where I see we're losing ground is on at the state and local level. And just really the court of public opinion. We have to, as gun owners, get engaged with our neighbors and invite people to the range. Oh, before I forget, this is August is National Shooting Sports Month. And letsgoshooting.org has about $48,000 worth of gear boxes and things to give away. So if all your listeners want to get in on a chance to win some big stuff, tell them to go check out letsgoshooting.org.
Letsgoshooting.org. I think I saw that at SHOT Shoot last year. They were, was it letsgoshooting.org that they're handing out little, like, pins for? Not sure. But talking about the Moms Demand Action and the groups like that,
Probably.
the funny thing is, today I was wearing my proud GOA t-shirt, Gun Owners of America, and I happened to run across some Moms Demand
Huh?
Action. And they didn't like my shirt very much. And even though I was with my kids, they let me know.
What'd they say?
No, just they
What'd
just
they say?
they were just like, that's not a good shirt. I'm like, okay. So I took a selfie with like
Well,
me like a picture of me like with like one of them behind me taking a bite of a sandwich so I can like post it to
uh-huh.
Instagram, and she was like, "You can't take a picture of me." I said, "Well, you can interrupt me, so I can do whatever the
They're
hell
so
I want."
used to being in control.
Yeah, yeah. I go to a lot of gun rallies, of course, and I've done in Richmond not too long ago. And a funny thing happened. They had a VCDL rally, which GOA was a part of, and they had a Moms Demand Action rally. Well, everyone there from the GOA has been there all morning, and they were like, "Yeah, there's hardly any Moms Demand Action people here." A bunch of buses pulled up. They all got out, walked up, took. They were there about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and they took some pictures, and the news people showed up, and then they got on the buses and left. It was the weirdest thing ever.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So we are definitely, I do believe that the media is the most effective devil in America. And we are in a huge battle against an enormous giant devil. So and being conservative, kind of like I didn't want to do the rally. I don't think that conservative people want to put their business out there. Really don't want to get engaged, and we're really losing the battle of the public's opinion of us. We are letting the antis, who are so well organized and so well funded, just like they show up for 10 minutes on a bus. How many buses come in and they produce their people, and people that they could even paid to be there, produce what they want to produce and then bug out. And it's not, and that's what America sees.
There
I
was
would
about
like to be able to do something similar for us.
there was about 4 or 5 buses, but it basically showed that they're all about the photo op and getting their image across, which is not to if we did something like that on the pro gun side, we would be eaten up by the media. They would show that everywhere. Um,
Right. Well, they wouldn't even cover us to begin with.
well, that is
we could
true.
turn out we could turn out 100,000 people, and they wouldn't want to give us the time of day. So
That is true,
it's
but
it's really back down to the local level.
yeah, there's some pro
But
gun people in the media that they're just afraid. It looks like one of our people in our chat room is talking about red flag laws. And I reported on something that happened in Florida. I've been covering it in Florida. Uh, I just want to get your opinion on red flag laws.
well, as a police officer and as a woman and a firearms owner, I'm completely against them. I mean, look at what happened with Chris Cuomo and his tirade. I mean, somebody could legitimately say that he's off his rocker, he's unstable, he's crazy, and he doesn't need firearms. Well, of course he doesn't care because he probably doesn't have firearms. But if anybody, it can just be weaponized so easily that I'm completely against it. I think it's retarded. It's stupid that we should go after, if somebody is of such a harmful person, we have laws in place already that put, to take the person, not take the firearms. So to deny somebody their constitutional right, and I know Dan Crenshaw took a bunch of heat for even listening to and going down that trail, but there's just it's just not going to stop mass shootings. It's not going to help make you safe. And from my perspective, I'm responsible for my own security, and I want a firearm. So stop making it more difficult for me to protect myself, restricting me from where I can go, restricting you from what I can do. Just let us be the equalizer.
Yeah.
So no red flags.
That's good. I'm pretty sure that's what our listeners wanted to hear. Well, in Florida, like last week, a man got stripped of his firearms rights and his concealed carry permit because of somebody had a roommate and they filed a charge against their roommate. I'm not in charge. They said, hey, he has a gun, he's dealing drugs, all this other stuff, and they red flagged him. But uh, the dude was the wrong guy. Uh-huh. We got his firearms back. We got all his rights restored.
And
Well, the only reason why we got the rights restored is because I wrote an article about it, and Hank Strange jumped on it. Also, Florida Carry got involved, and I blasted it out. And within 24 hours, had like 100,000 shares. And then like the mainstream media started picking it up. Even the TV network started picking it up down there, saying, "Hey, look at what's happening with this guy." And then they went ahead and restored all his rights because he's the wrong guy. I mean, if you look at the description, it's like the guy was covered in tattoos. He was like 115 pounds. He was like 5'5", and this guy's like over 200 pounds. He was like 5'11", you know, and the guy had like brown, like long black hair, and the guy and this guy was bald. Um, and I actually tracked down the actual
wow.
guy that they were looking for. And the funny thing is, the dude has prison tats all over him. Like Aryan Brotherhood symbols, swastikas, and stuff. This other guy's like retired Marine, like
Right.
husband, father, you know. Um, but yeah, it was. But that just shows you the
That's one
danger of
example
them.
of things bad.
So
Yeah.
I reached out and I got a comment back from the Department of Ag head, which actually is responsible for all this. I don't know why the Department of Agriculture in Florida is responsible for all this, but apparently they are. And her chief spokesman or whatever was like, oh, we do our best to verify, but sometimes we just make mistakes, and that's fine. It's like, no, it's not. you know, it's like, how can you say that's
Well, does
fine?
he plan on pursuing any kind of compensation? Does he plan on pursuing any kind of legal action against them?
I think he is with the Florida Carry, because originally he was going to have to go to court
Yeah.
and pay all this money, even though it definitely wasn't him. We did find a sympathetic captain in the police
Right.
department who took it upon himself to double check everything. If we didn't find him and we
Right.
didn't have the media coverage, this would have been like, you know, pushed under the
His
rug.
own personal nightmare, but nobody else.
Yeah, but we
Yeah.
were able to go ahead and reverse everything that was happening. But I knew you were a police officer and stuff like that. And you, one of the things you always hear when they talk about red flag laws is, you know, oh, just think of the police officers, and I'm like, what are you talking about? They're the ones who have to go in there and try to take away the guns, and get shot at. So I don't see how it's
Yeah,
helping the
that
police
puts them in a
officers.
pretty dangerous position.
You
It's
know,
not. I think that's what they're saying. I think of the police officers that you're putting in harm's way.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the anti-gun people, the people who support the red flag laws, who say, "Oh, think about the police officers." They support them. Like that's
They're
kind of
not.
funny because I know a lot of police officers,
Yeah.
and I really haven't talked to one that really supports them.
They don't want this.
So it's just
Yeah.
crazy. Thanks for Todd for bringing that up.
Well, all of the
Go ahead.
yeah, all of the things that we're talking about right now, whether it be red flag laws or extended background checks or things like that, are it's in it comes out of an emotional plea that we have to do something, and everybody in the world wants to be safe. I get that. I think that we can agree on that point with our anti people, but I have said it and I've said it, I'll say it again, is that I feel safer when I have a firearm. There's just nothing that you can do to make me, after carrying one on the job for 22 years and seeing all the things, all the times that the police department gets there to clean things up. Plus the fact that, as a police officer, I was toe to toe by myself with evil many times, and waiting for your backup to get there is a horrible feeling. I can't imagine, being helpless, being disarmed, and trying to hold it together to survive an instance until somebody gets there to help me. So I want to be safe. I know they want to be safe. We just have to let them understand that me having a gun makes everybody safer. Me, you, and people like us having a gun makes everybody safer, as opposed to more dangerous.
Yeah, I see gun websites on the John Crump chat out there. Really good YouTuber, by the way. But yeah, but I totally agree with you, and I'm so glad I actually have a police officer, a famous police officer for naming Sticks Larson on on the show, to be able to give their opinion. Well, one thing that I find really interesting about the anti-gun people is they always try to say, "Oh, we're doing it. We want to do it for the police officers. We want to do it for the police officers." But at the same time, usually there are a lot of anti-police officer people on that side.
Isn't it ironic?
Yeah,
It's just going, it's difficult. It's going to be difficult to navigate these waters, because I don't feel like America has the stomach to stand up for what's right for long enough in order to affect change. I mean, look at these police officers that are getting water thrown on them and completely disrespected, and it's a sad times that we've come to, but I don't know why more people aren't going to jail. But then we turn around and we let them out of jail, and it's a circle.
yeah. Do you think that they rely on emotions because they're lacking on actual statistics and facts?
Well, I definitely think that they rely on emotions, because they lack the experience with firearms. Since they don't know who we are, they don't think they know who we are. They probably do, between school, between church, between going to the grocery store. They've met a gun owner that they don't even know. This whole concealed carry thing is working against us. Not that I'm an open carry advocate at all, but my point being is that it's really difficult for us to make guns normal again when people don't see them, because we keep them concealed as a tactical advantage or as a law. So that's kind of what's been put on my heart now, is to try to create better messengers in our community. So this past year, for probably 4 years now, I've been thinking about, I want to be better trained when it comes to interviews. I want to be better trained when it comes to a hostile interview. I want to know how to look and how to sound in an interview. I also, as a sponsored shooter, I have to do social media. I have to know how to film and edit. So I put together, I've never seen this training, so I put together what I call the Ambassador Academy, and we had our first class earlier this year. And basically, I hired subject matter experts to come into one place. We have it in Orlando, outside of Orlando. I call it Tactical Disneyland. It's a private range. A friend of mine that I train at occasionally, and
Which range?
We had it there, and we had a great time. Everybody had. It's a private range facility. It's called WAFT, West Orlando Firearms Training.
Okay, yeah, I went out there to a machine gun shoot
It's
at the
invite
private
only.
range.
Oh no, it's not his.
Okay.
But we had a great response to the class, and we're going to do another one March 2020. It's a 5-day long class, and on top of that, his deal is that he's a top-notch scenario, low light UTM trainer. So for one day, we get all of that, because as people that are going to carry, or maybe sometimes you don't carry, you need to have that training. It's the most important training that a concealed carry person can take, or just any kind of civilian, because whether you do or you do not carry on a daily basis, there are things that you can do, whether it be voice commands, just situational awareness, that you can train for. So we do that the first day, and then we jump into all of the things that make you a better messenger for our community.
Have you heard of something called the Gunathon?
No, where's that at?
That's my event. Um, it's in it's in the
Yeah.
DC suburbs of Ashburn. Maybe you should look into coming. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We have people. The Gun Collective's gonna be there. Iraqi Vet 888. Not only that, and like other people, like,
A big YouTube thing.
well, it's not only just YouTube. We actually have uh, uh, the guy who Jason Frank, who played the Green Power Ranger. He's a big young guy, actually. But we also have other people like Eric Pratt there from GOA, since it is kind of a GOA event.
Yeah.
Um, Also, we
Yeah,
gonna
give me
have,
information. I would love to come.
yeah, we have Philip Van Cleve, Virginia VCDL, Virginia Citizens Defense League, Maj Torre. I don't know if you know Maj or not. He's gonna be speaking.
I do homage.
Cheryl Todd's gonna be speaking there. So it's gonna be
When
really
is
good.
it?
April 25th. We have Kevin
Okay.
Dixie.
Oh, put it in my. I know. Oh, I know of Kevin. I have not met him.
Yeah, so it's gonna be,
April 25th.
yeah, it's gonna be real exciting. It's gonna be a great time, and we're gonna be raising money for GOA, which is
Awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm really, really
Sounds like a
looking
great
forward to.
event. I would love to.
Yeah. So how did you get into? I
Is
know
it your
you.
first year?
Yeah. It's our first year. We hope to make it annual. We have a really big
Right.
range that's actually attached to like an MMA type arena thing where they do MMA fights. Where we're gonna set up all the sponsors.
Oh wow.
We're gonna have like a bunch of manufacturers there with their stuff. So it's gonna be really really cool. Um, I wanted to get into the sponsored shooter category. How did you get sponsored?
Okay. This is one of the things that we touch on at the Ambassador Academy, because there are things that so in my opinion, sponsorships are about relationships. So if I don't know of anybody who has cold called or submitted a resume to a company and they have gotten any kind of meaningful sponsorship. It's always about who you've met and it's about networking and the relationship. So that's how my sponsorships have come along. I've either been recommended or I've just, the first thing I had was FNH USA. I was lucky enough to go to a 3-gun match, one of my first 3-gun matches, and I was squatted with Tommy Thacker, and I had no idea. I was just there as a shooter, and I needed a shotgun. I was borrowing a shotgun. I knew that he was wearing a shirt that said FNH USA, but I had a shotgun as a friend of mine, and he, through the course of the week, realized that I didn't have a shotgun. So he said, hey, how about, would you like a shotgun? And I was like, well, sure. Nobody's ever done that with a horse. But yeah, that's kind of how it started. So that relationship is what kind of kicked off the next year. I actually was a full-fledged member of FNH USA, and I stayed with them for probably 4 years until I kind of started growing and doing more in the space. And this is another thing that I talk about at the Ambassador Academy is how you can be a better return for your companies and your partners, because they're not just giving you stuff, or there has to be a return on their investment. So we really go into that rabbit hole of how you can prove yourself, prove what you do for your partners, and make it a mutually beneficial relationship.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That is something that I like to hear, and I think it will help out people by going into stuff like that, because there's a lot of people that want to be sponsored, and there's actually people that are good enough to be sponsored, but yet they don't get sponsored because they don't know how to go about it. So I think by teaching people that.
Well, and right. And hopefully, if we get the Ambassador Academy established and, kind of get it, well known, the branding on it. So let's say a company may even come to us and say, hey, do you have anybody that's coming in this vein? Because people are welcome, individuals are welcome to come to the training, but it's pretty expensive. So, I'm looking at a 3-gunner and saying, basically, I want you to pay for three matches that you could go to or come to the Ambassador Academy, because it's $3,500 for a week-long training. Now, before you freak out, that does include your housing, your breakfast, your lunch, a really cool swag bag, and a jersey, some other stuff. But that's expensive for somebody to come out of their pocket. So I really am focused on trying to get companies to see the benefit of it. Oh, there's a professional photographer, amazing professional photographer. So companies will get actually hardcore photos. It's basically less than a photo shoot, and they're getting photos out of it as well as a better trained ambassador.
Do you guys shoot it all there,
whether
or no?
it be the individual or the company, everybody. Oh yeah, we do live fire. Josh Freilich was our live fire instructor this year, and he's scheduled to come back next year. So we do a lot in 5 days. It's not there's no lollygagging. Life is a timed event.
And you said you also teach video editing there?
Yes, filming and video editing is one of our classes, one of our segments.
Who does that for you?
As well as social media. TJ Kurgan from Tactical Shit. He's our social media is TJ Kurgan from Tactical Shit. He actually teaches social media at a college, so I have to put the PG-13 on him and let him go. They loved him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things that I noticed a lot of The difference between the people who get like a lot of sponsorships and not is their editing and their shooting. Uh, okay,
Right.
somebody's
Well, because you don't have to be a top level shooter.
okay. Go ahead.
There's a lot of sponsored shooters that aren't winning. They aren't at the top of the game. They're not the Daniel Horners or the Greg Jordans or the Lania Mitchellicks. There's a lot of room out there that companies can benefit from. You're not getting your accolades from your princes. You have to be a good sportsman. I mean, if you're a total douchebag and you win, that's not helping your company. It's not helping your sponsors at all. So there's a lot more to it than just performing well.
Yeah, that is one of the things that I think people really, really need to take it. Uh, yeah, okay. There's some people saying that your audio is kind of scratchy, but we're doing the best we can. That a different internet connection. So yeah, we know it's nothing on. They were trying to blame my settings. How dare they? No, it's not my settings. We're just trying to do the
It's
best.
me. It's my fault. Right here on my screen. It says poor network connection, and I don't know what to do about it.
Nothing we can do. We can just power through it. No, I just wanted to let uh, a couple people know from our Facebook. We have like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, two different YouTube channels, Periscope, which is Twitter, uh, Twitch. So I see all the messages, even though people don't see their everyone's message. I I see them. So I just wanted to let people.
Well, do they have any questions besides we don't sound good?
No, I mean they they're just talking about like red flag laws. That's where the red flag law question came from. But yeah, so
Okay.
with the ambassador program, do you think that it's something that should be held more than once a year? Do we hold like maybe something that can be in?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And as people want it, I would put on more. And my thought is like I have Josh Fralick that does our live fire. Well, he's three gun. It doesn't have to be three gun. I could put in a long range instructor. I could put in a sporting clays instructor. I could put in end of discipline, and I could feed the same information to a different segment of our world.
Yeah, I
So
see.
if anybody's looking for this kind of training, just
Yeah, I see a benefit of having it like different regions and stuff like that. I think that would be a great benefit to different people. Um, and also, I
line demand, I will demand it.
that was going to be my next question. If somebody wanted you to put something together for them, let's say in say Virginia, where I'm from, or like Utah or somewhere like that, would you be open to that if they can contact you?
Oh, absolutely.
And how would they contact you?
Well, I'm on Facebook, Dianna Muller 3 Gun. I'm on Instagram, Die 3 Gun. But honestly, should I give out my email?
It's up to you. You might get some crazy emails, but do you have a business email or you have a
Actually,
personal?
I have it's a business one, but let's go this route. Let's go pro3gunner.com is my website, and it has some information on the Ambassador Academy, and it'll have my contact. It'll probably have my email there. It's pro3gunner.com. DI at pro3gunner.com.
And can you talk about other people want to know? Can you talk about when the next academy is? They missed it and where again?
Correct. It's outside. The next academy is scheduled for March 28th through April 1st, and that is outside Orlando, Florida. And the reason I scheduled it at that time and that location is that USPSA Multigun Nationals is on that following weekend. So that's a Saturday through a Wednesday. And then we roll right into USPSA Multigun Nationals, so people don't have twice the travel. It's a little bit longer, but if you have the time, then you're saving a little bit of money from traveling to the area that you're going to be there if you're going to USPSA Multi-Gun Nationals.
If someone lives in the Orlando area, do they get a discount if they don't need a hotel or anything?
We could talk about that.
Okay, that's one of the things I was wondering because I know there's a few different YouTubers in that area, and a few different shooters in that area that I know about. I wanted to circle back to the DC Project really quick. DC Project, the
Okay.
rally and everything happens on a Friday, but there's other events during that whole
Correct.
week. What are some of the other events that would be
No.
great for people? There's not? Oh, okay.
No. No, we come in, the girls have a kind of a meeting on the first night, Tuesday night, and then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning, we're making meetings. We don't even see each other. If it's not in your squad, we might see another squad passing, but we are just making meetings, going from meeting, office to office, and really hustling. So until Friday, we come back together on the Capitol lawn and have our rally, and then we're done. This year, for the past couple of years, NSSF, National Shooting Sports Foundation, has worked with us to provide a media day. So we go about an hour and a half closer to Winchester at a private range and host media. So we've gotten a
Or
really good
Cluck Brothers?
response from that. Just a handful of people. No, it's in Stevens City.
Okay,
It's just a three gunner that has some targets at his
okay, I gotcha.
farm.
And also circling back to the Ambassador Academy again. Uh, Gun Websites wants to know:
Okay.
is it more focused on the professional or the newbie? The people that attend.
You know, it live fire more so. It would be focused on somebody who's very well experienced with all three platforms because you have access to a world champion, and everybody who came was pretty familiar. There was one lady that came and she didn't really participate in live fire. She watched. So you're open to that, but in order to take advantage of your world championship instruction, you should at least be familiar with the platforms. That doesn't mean that you should be a professional shooter or a top-notch shooter. As long as you're safe and you kind of know your stuff, you're going to get something out of this class. And that being said, is if I'm a pistol person and I do choose to come to this class that has a three-gun instructor, you're going to pick up something. So I would say the other portion, the portion with the film and edit, the social media, the tactical jiu-jitsu stuff, and the scenario-based training that anybody of any experience level can benefit from,
Right.
and the professional photography.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Looking professional is key. Even though I don't really look professional until you read my writing, then I fake it. My writing. No, no, I am a professional advocate, professional troublemaker, as I will say. Not really professional shooter, but definitely a Second Amendment advocate. And one other thing I wanted to actually, a few other things I wanted to talk about. Uh, you're married, right? What does your husband think of you
Correct.
traveling a lot for these shooting events?
Well, my husband and I got married in 2014, and he is a hunter, is what's in his heart. But I've introduced him to the shooting sports, and he started shooting. He was a natural, and then once you get around me and Jerry Michalik, and he squatted with people, and he just shot up top of the ranks. So now he's a top 10 performer. And he and I both travel. He was a plastics engineer, and we both do this in this space. He helps me with the Ambassador Academy. He's kind of behind the scenes with the DC project, but I couldn't do what I do without him. So it's a two-man thing.
Yeah, for your next DC project.
Do you want to see him?
I'm definitely. Yeah, sure.
He's really pretty.
Bring him on. Bring him on. She's going to get her husband right there. It takes a strong man to marry a cop. I will say that. And what's his name?
Oh, I'm definitely. Because it takes Ryan. Introducing Ryan Muller.
Ryan Muller.
We were asking about.
What's up?
It takes a strong man to marry
a cop.
How are you? Has she ever got you out of any tickets?
You can describe it. It's long, crazy.
We have a great time traveling the world together, and super blessed to have great sponsors like Benelli, Leopold, 511, Kawasaki, Fiocchi Ammunition. We just we're doing it. We're pretty blessed, but we want to give that back to everybody else. The information that we've learned. I've been in this space sponsor for 10 years now, and that's what the Ambassador Academy is all about: is giving all those tips and tactics and things that I've learned, we've learned. So doing it full time.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. It's good to be in love and to have something that you're both in love with. I was talking about in love with shooting.
We're definitely being passionate. Yes. It's definitely, I worked for 22 years at a full-time job, and I work harder now than I ever have. I put more hours in.
You don't ever clock out.
So, but this is what's on our hearts, so it just doesn't feel like work.
Okay, I got a question for both of you guys. How do you bring up the next generation to embrace the Second Amendment and to embrace shooting? How do you do that?
Very intentionally. I mean, you have to, kids, it's amazing what kids can absorb if we just raise the expectation level of our kids. From my opinion, from what I see in the world, I wish that we would expect more out of our kids. So when it comes to the shooting sports of the Second Amendment, that's just an intentional piece of the puzzle that you put in it. You talk about honor, you talk about your country, you talk about the pledge, you talk about the flag. And that's how you pass along those patriotic feelings and let them know that it's not going to be easy. It's right now we're in a time that's not really popular to be a patriot.
Yeah.
Correct. I would say even take it a step farther is, what did you say?
I said yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I would agree.
No. It doesn't just relate to the firearms. The way you raise, the way that the people that are in firearms tend to raise a kid is you're not just teaching them about firearms. You're teaching them about responsibility. You're teaching them about how they treat others and how they want to be treated. You don't want to force a kid to get into firearms, but at the same time, you can teach them that just because they're not into it doesn't mean that they can't keep someone else from being into it. Let them be into whatever they want to be, and that's a freedom of choice and a freedom of just plain freedom. So,
right. And here's another question: how do you convert someone who is anti-gun to pro-gun?
Well, that's exactly what we're trying to do through the DC project, and I don't know that you can go about conversion, but you can plant seeds. And you can, first by being kind, smiling and saying hi. And then they find out that you're a gun owner. So maybe that doesn't, it's not congruent with what they hear on MSM ever, you know. It's just that we love our guns more than our kids, that we're hateful, that we can't be trusted. So give the people in your community, give the people at church, your school, make sure that you have those conversations with them that, A, you're kind. If you're having a bad day, maybe don't tell them that you're a gun owner that day. But when you're having a really good day, you can say, hey, you know, if you ever want to come to the range, I'll be here for you. I talk about it as a Christian. It's kind of like witnessing or evangelizing through your Christian walk. Because you can't, you know, how far are you going to get when you say, you know, you're the hell if you don't know Jesus. I mean, that's not exactly the most effective way. If you are kind to somebody and you give them your time and your kindness, that goes further with them trusting you than doing it the harsh way. So as opposed to coming in, you know, the United States is going to go down the toilet if we lose our Second Amendment. You know, there's a more palatable way to talk about, to try to convert people.
And I try to make them, you know, basically answer their own questions. So you can get, the problem with the anti-gun agenda is that it's based on emotion, not fact. And you cannot reason with emotion. You cannot reason with a religious extremist any better, right? So when going about the argument or basically trying to convert someone who is anti-gun, just go about it from a factual standpoint, because that's something that they can't argue. Everything that they are talking about and everything they're bringing up is, for the most part, not based on fact. It's based on something that they heard from a politician who really doesn't know what they're talking about anyway. When it comes to the weapons of war or assault rifles, all that stuff. These are all buzzwords that have been impregnated into them by the mainstream media to make them think a certain thing, a certain way. So when you come at them at facts, and just know that, you know, at the same time, we care about kids. We don't want anybody to get hurt. Because what you don't see is even though it is happening, the large amount of gun owners, if someone breaks the law, they want that person thrown in jail just as much as everyone else. You know, we want people to own guns. We want them to have rights to do whatever they want to with their own stuff. But as soon as that takes over the rights of someone else, that's when it becomes null. And that's how everything should go. That's how all of our rights should go. Is we should have basically the right until those rights infringe upon someone else.
I definitely agree. With that. And one of the things I think that they do really well is put us on the defensive, when we should go on more of the offensive by pointing out things like not only that most mass shootings happen in like gun-free zones, but we should also point out that by them wanting to take away people's firearms rights, they're really taking away their chance to survive a violent attack, whether it be with a gun or hammer or whatnot. And I think we need to point that out more. It's like, why do you want people to be disarmed and not have a fighting chance to save their lives?
Kind of on that same vein is this year I've really tried to talk about the defensive use of a firearm. Because if you're going to throw out that 30,000, 40,000 number of homicide or deaths by firearm,
which includes suicide,
you should include those defensive use of firearms, which is up to 2.5 million times a year. Are those lives not worth something?
Well, and specific to the mass shootings, is you have an entire generation of people that is infatuated with celebrity status. And the very first thing that happens whenever someone makes one of these, you know, horrendous acts is they become a celebrity. So they get and I wish that the media would not publish names. I wish they would go down some of the different routes as opposed to finding out absolutely everything about anyone that, you know, commits a mass shooting. We know everything about them immediately, and then we publicize it. You become a celebrity.
Well, I would be all for them becoming a celebrity, but I want like a public tar, feather, and then set them on fire.
Yeah,
Married a cop.
one of the things that I that I stopped doing a while ago in my writing is I won't name mass shooters anymore at all. The last one I named
Yeah.
was the Las Vegas shooter. Then ever since then, I I stopped. There's actually some studies that they talk to people who've committed mass acts of violence and mass shootings, and almost all of them said one of the reasons why they did it is because they want to have their names known. And I think this goes all the way back to Columbine,
Right.
where they wanted to be known. No matter what, they just wanted their names to be known.
But I guarantee you, if they thought they were going to get tarred and feathered, if they thought they were going to get tarred and feathered and set on fire, that they wouldn't want to do that. All it's going to take is one, maybe two.
A huge issue we have in the United States is there's no threat of retaliation. And what I mean by retaliation is punishment. We've taught our kids that the timeout mat is okay because you can't spank anyone. And then that just a little bit of weed is okay. Well, then what's it going to be? It's going to be like a little bit of cocaine is okay. And I just don't know where we're headed.
Well, Mexico's looks like they're going to legalize cocaine, and also Colorado looks like they're going for psilocybin, which is magic mushrooms. But I'm a libertarian, so
Wow.
I believe we'll legalize it all. Who cares? That's the difference between a libertarian and a conservative.
Reality, and you start talking about political parties, we're pretty much down the same road. As I don't really care what any of those people do. If they want to do cocaine in their own house, that's fine. And as long as it doesn't affect me, I don't care what you do.
Yeah. Well,
but I want you to give me that same respect when it comes to firearms.
Yeah.
As long as my guns aren't doing anything to you, I can be able to own them all.
Yeah, I'm not talking about like the Libertarian Party. I'm talking about like libertarian philosophy. It's a little bit different. Libertarian Party is they're not truly fully libertarian, but if you like the Ayn Rand philosophy of stuff, that's me basically. But yeah, it's one of those things. But one of the last things I wanted to talk to you guys about is kids. You guys are both professional shooters. One of my friends has a son named Garrett Baisley, who's incredible shooter. He's already sponsored, and he's just a teenager. And he's out shooting like a lot of adults. We had this like competition where a bunch of people got together, not professional shooters, but really good shooters. And he came in. This is before he started like competing, and he like blew everyone away. Then he started competing. How do you nurture that into a kid? I don't know if you guys have the answer, but I just find it would be interesting since you guys are both.
But how do you, so is the question, how do you get them to that point?
No.
Or how do you take the next level when you identify?
Yeah, how do you nurture that raw talent and take it to the next level? How do you develop that? How do you push them without being too pushy?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a delicate balance that's going to, every kid is going to be different, and every parent is going to be different. So if you identify that and you think that would be a great plan, I mean, whether it be baseball or soccer or whatever it is, I'm sure there are parents out there that do everything they can to give their kids the best platform, whether the kid actually wants to drive that hard or not. I mean, there are very few people, within my world, shooting world, that are so driven that they are hungry for it and that they're going to work 110% towards it. And I would say just kind of just walk that balance, that line of, watch your kids, see how much they're driven. Are they doing things on their own? And then match that. Don't go further than your kid has, and don't completely say, well, you got this. And then you can send them to the Ambassador Academy if you or your kid wants to know how the business part of sponsorship works.
Because it has a lot more to do than just winning. And you can take your kid down that path too. Maybe they want to be the best. Maybe they want to win, and that's different than being sponsored. Obviously, you need to be good to be sponsored, but your entire job when you are a sponsored shooter is to sell product. So be it, your personality or something you do via social media or winning, there are all different parts to being a sponsored shooter, and you can kind of guide them down the path that they want to take.
All right, that sounds great. Before I let you guys out of here, you guys have anything you want to plug? Ambassador Academy. I know that's one. And also tell people how they can find you guys.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked about the DC project. If they want to check that out, the dcproject.info is the website for that. And, just keep an eye on us. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Facebook is the DC Project, and then Instagram is DC Project Foundation. So just get connected with us. If there's a special talent that they have that they want to contribute, just reach out, send us an email, and we'd be glad to plug them into what we're doing. Fundraisers, like I said, we're going to focus on fundraising this next year and beyond. So if somebody would like to, bring the DC Project to their event and host a fundraiser for us, we would be all about that. You can hear from some of the stories of the women. Oh my gosh, I didn't tell you about the women. So we have so many amazing women. I didn't really go down this road, but let's talk about Gabby Franco real quick. She's a Venezuelan, a naturalized immigrant from Venezuela who's seen her country live their firearms rights and then go down the toilet with this socialism BS. We have Nikki from Tennessee, her husband was murdered in front of her in a gun-free zone when her firearm was in the car because she's a law-abiding citizen. We have Melissa from Illinois who was a victim of a home invasion. She got stabbed 17 times. She got raped. She got her face beat in with a crock pot. Just an amazing survival story. And those are the stories that we're taking. And then everybody has a story. We have
you got about 46 more stories.
Yeah. Everybody has a great story, but we go in and we tell these stories. It's not necessarily the DC Project. It isn't necessarily about, I want you to not sign red flag laws. It's about me as Dianna Muller. I'm retired police. I'm a professional shooter. This is what I do with my firearms. This is my friend, Nikki Dozier, and she is from Tennessee. So we tell those personal stories because there's nothing that they can say about my own story. I'm not coming to them with facts. I'm not coming at them with a pointed finger and telling them what I want them to do. Now, we gently, we want to create that relationship with them, and that's our goal of the DC Project is to really create relationships because that goes back to the trust. You talked about how to convert people. Well, they have to know who you are and they have to trust you before they are going to listen to you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have a personal story as well. My mom, when I was less than a year old, was at home alone with me and my sisters, my older sisters, and somebody broke in, and she used a 38 special to defend herself and shoot the home invader. It wasn't like he was breaking in to rob anything. They kept on finding, hearing things, and and they couldn't figure it out for a while. And it turned out it was the home invader who, was spying on my mom and stuff. And then one night, he got the courage to break in to do whatever he was going to do, and
wow,
that didn't really happen. Well. Yeah, thank you, Kingpin, for subscribing, by the way.
Story.
Yeah, it was a very, very scary story, but he basically didn't last. But yeah, so my mom used a gun to defend me, my sisters, and herself, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so pro-gun. Because
That's yeah,
without that, you know,
because it works.
I could be dead. The way I look at guns is they can be the great equalizer. Um, hey, below 2 cents from Florida. They can be the great equalizer, and they can stop a lot of violence from happening to women, especially because no matter how much training a
Right.
woman gets, you know, they're going to be at a disadvantage when they like fight a man just because biology, strength, you know. But
Right.
with that
Right.
gun, it can level the playing field. I mean, that's
Right.
just one thing that I always like to point out is how it's the great equalizer. All right, guys. It was great talking to you guys. Good luck in your travels. Do you guys own an RV and drive around? Because that would be really cool. To all the shooting
We
matches.
have a really nice, like it. I call it a baby semi. It's a Freightliner. It's a sport chassis Freightliner. It's from my horse show days. I've always wanted one, so I had no idea that I would have one at this stage of my life. And basically, we have an is it aluminum? Oh. It's a big race trailer that kind of looks like a horse trailer on steroids. So that's what we drive around, and it's got logos on all. You know, it's skin.
It's cool. It's cool.
It's cool.
How did I guess that?
We'll send you a picture.
I would actually love that. I think that would be that would be awesome. I want to get one, and I don't want to drive around. All right, later, Kingpin.
Wouldn't recommend it then.
Yeah, but yeah, I just want to take it to Walmart, you know, to the grocery store.
We
You can drive it to Virginia
It
for
holds
the
about
Gunathon on April
$600 for the fuel. So
Oh, maybe I don't want to do that. But you guys can drive it to Virginia for the Gunathon. You can hang out.
I'll tell him all about it, and we'll touch base about that. We'll touch base about that and keep in touch about it and see if we can't make it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. All right, guys. I guess that is it for this week's Fireside Chats. We're gonna be coming to you a little bit earlier next week because I have plans for Saturday night, and I'm not canceling my plans because they're in another state. But we'll be back next week with the next episode of Fireside Chats. Tune in to find out who they are.
Adios.
One second.
is it over? We did?
You want us to kiss?
Oh, it's gonna get my video demonetized. Just kidding. It's already demonetized.
Okay.
You're good. You see my eye?